Hello there and welcome to this course on GPT-4 Mini with Python course. My name is Valentine and I'll be instructor. In this course, we are going to be going through how to use this new model that was made publicly available by OpenAI called GPT-4o Mini. We won't go so much into the discussions of the implications of using it, like for example, the benefits, the disadvantages or limitations. Our focus will primarily be on using the Python programming language to integrate with the model. And this may be the case for either maybe you might be working on data engineering work or data science or even software engineering projects. This course will be relevant in that situation. Right, so let's get started. The first thing that you need to do is to visit the description section of this video to get the practice resource. So once you click on the practice resource link in the description, you'll get to a page that looks like this. Then just click on the link, which should prompt you to sign in, then click on continue to learning. And then you should end up to the page that allows you to get access to the sample notebook, which looks like what you're seeing on your screen. Once you get here, the next step would be just to save a copy of this notebook by going to File, then Save a Copy to have a notebook. And that just allows you to be able to access this, your work, the work that you're going to be doing, just in case in the near future, if you want to just maybe refer to something. We have provided challenges as well in this notebook, sample notebook, but if you become an Afterwork member, there are so many challenges that you get, and you also get to have access to the solutions to the challenges. All right, so let's get started. I'll be using the practice notebook. I won't be using the sample notebook. This is accessible to Afterwork members. So by the way, feel free to pause the video and also continue when you're ready. So let's do this. So starting off, once you get to the notebook and you're ready, just run the prerequisites, which will install the OpenAI library. And once you do that, you'll then import the OpenAI class and set your API key. The API key that you find here will not be available by the time you're watching this video. So you need to go to OpenAI and set that up. We have other courses that we've done before that showcase that particular process. Starting off, we'll get to learn about how to generate text using the OpenAI Mini, GPT-4o Mini model. So we'll start by learning how to perform zero-shot prompting, which is a way of querying the model to generate some context without really specifying any examples or even just instructions. Like for example, we can ask the model to identify or to tell us which bank collapsed in March of 2023, and it will entirely use the knowledge that it has been trained on. So here we are setting our prompt, which is just a string that we save in a Python variable, and then we use the create method from the OpenAI library, and we set the model parameter to GPT-4o Mini and the messages to be a list of just a dictionary that contains two key values. There's role, which has the value user, and content, which has the prompt value that we actually had set earlier. We set the seed parameter to 1 to just specify that we want to ensure that our model, we just want to ensure that we are able to get the same results if we share this work. So it's just for reproducibility purposes. If I give you this example or this code, you would actually end up getting the same result if you set the seed to 1. But if someone sets the seed to 2, they would get just something different from someone who has set the seed to a different number. Temperature, to ensure that we have deterministic results, like results that are not creative as such. And lastly, max tokens, to ensure that we get an output that does not exceed 1,000 tokens. And yeah, once we do that, the response that we get will be stored in response variable, and we'll be able to fetch the response. That's the textual, the content that we want from the model, by simply running this code. So we access it through this, and we print out the generated response. So that's just a quick way of just working with the GPT-4 Mini. It's 4o Mini. It's just similar to other models that we've worked on with in the past. All right, pause the video and then work on the challenge. After that, we can decide to perform different types of prompting, like zero or chain of thought prompting, which just entails providing instructions or telling it to, not even providing instructions. Yes, you could, but you would need to ensure that you provide the model with the prompt that also asks it to go through some sort of process. Like, for example, what is the degrees Fahrenheit in, what is 100 degrees Fahrenheit in degrees Celsius? Then we tell it calculate step by step. So this actually enables our model to now perform this particular process that we wanted to perform, but now using steps. Similar to what we've done, we call the create model. We create a method. We use the create method. We set the specific parameters that we need, and then we just simply generate our response. We get the generated response, which should be what we should see just below here. All right, in some other situations, we might want to instruct the model to return some JSON object. So using the first example, which we had, which bank collapsed in March of 2023, we can then enclose our response in a function, a Python function, just for ease of, just to be able to reuse the code easily. So once we do that, while we are using the create method, we would need to specify the response format parameter to have this dictionary that has a key value that whose key is type and value is JSON object. And then in addition, we would set the messages and we would introduce another dictionary and set the role for that to be system, to tell the model that it needs to give us a JSON output. And that's generally it. That's what we would need to do. And so we would get, if we call this particular function and pass our prompt to it, we would get a response that actually is in JSON format. And here we go. And we can use this for maybe data preprocessing, or even just for making some decisions within our code, especially in Python, if you're working on web applications in Python. All right, moving on. So that's just a bit about text generation. I think this just clears a few things about how you implement that, and you can implement this in just different sort of concepts, contexts, whether it's in creation of web applications. You can even create an API solely that calls and performs some specific use case, and you're able to get the prompt that you want. On the other hand, GPT-4o mini is able to analyze images. So if we wanted to give the model some sort of image and ask it to analyze it, we can still use the create method, specify the model, which is GPT-4o mini, and inside the messages parameter, the value for that, which is a list of dictionaries. So inside this dictionary, we would set, yes, the role to be user, but the content, we wouldn't set it as the prompt. Like here we had set the content as the prompt, but here we're going to set the content as another list of dictionaries that contain another dictionary that contains a prompt, and also another dictionary that contains an image that we would want. And we would specify for the image, for the dictionary that contains the image, would specify this key value, the type and the image URL, as well as the image URL, as well as the actual URL as shown here. And just basically that would be it. So if we run this, we're just going to define our function. But if you want now to analyze just one image, we would need to pass a prompt, a variable that we would want to ask about that contains a prompt that we would use to ask about the image, and then the image URL. And you can also do this locally. You do not necessarily have to have an image stored somewhere. You can also upload your image, say, to Colab or even to a Jupyter Notebook environment, or even run this code and have an image URL. But you need to convert that image to have a bit 64 encoded format. There's an OpenAI course that we've done on our YouTube channel. You can always check that out. that also covers that. But yeah, here we're just defining the inputs that we're going to give the function. So that's the prompt and the image URL. Then we call the function and pass these arguments, which are what we've defined here, and then we get the result. And the outcome would be, let me even just open this link in a new tab so that we are able to see what the outcome would be. So this is the image. It's the image that we would want. So let me go back to this particular output. So we get the image features a white swan swimming on a dark reflective body of water, which is actually what's happening. So this is a JPEG image, but we can do so with the PNG image. We can also do so with a GIF image. So this is just another GIF, a GIF that we have for this particular example. So if I follow this link is just, yeah. So if I follow this link, I should be able to get a GIF. But if I want to ask the model what is happening, then I can just simply prompt it and pass that URL of that GIF, and it will tell me that, what's happening. So the image shows a field filled with colorful flowers, including in the background there are two figures, etc. We can also do the same thing. We can analyze multiple images. So assuming that we have multiple images, instead of just passing as one image, we would need to define our messages. We would need to have our messages value, that's this particular value, be able to contain multiple image URLs. So if we would want to do that, so this is when you look at this particular example and the previous example, let me minimize this. If you look at this particular example, the image URL dictionary comes in right after the prompt. So what we would need to do is just to use a for loop to be able to append for each and every image that we have. We would need to create a new dictionary that looks like what I have highlighted. And that's actually what we do here. We first of all define the messages object, and then we append the image URL. So this is what we are appending, what I'm highlighting. So that's the dictionary that we are appending for each and every image URL, and we are appending to the messages object. And then that once we've done that, we just pass the messages object to the messages parameter. We set that as the value for the messages parameter in the create method. And yeah, and we just print out our output. Like here we are defining the function, and then we just ask what's in the following images, which we have the URLs, and we pass them to the model and print out the result, which should give us the idea about what's in those particular images. So it might take a few seconds, and you can see that we have now our output for those. All right. Lastly, there's what we call fidelity understanding. So this just involves being able to efficiently analyze images. So there's a parameter that we can provide to our model. So when we are passing our image, that's called the detail. Well, it's a property. So we would say that for this particular image URL, the detail that we want is say low or high. So by default, it would be the model would receive a high resolution image. But if we want to have a model receive a low resolution image, 5 by 12 by 5 by 12 to be exact, and use a budget of 65 tokens for each image it gets, then we can set the detail value for this particular key value of this image URL dictionary. And yeah, so that's what we can do. We can pass that to a function that would just set now the detail value, and that should give us our result. This just ensures that you don't spend a lot, especially on these models. And I'm just taking a few seconds, and that's it. That's it for this particular case. Yeah, so that's it with regards to this particular course. It's not a long course. It's just a way of just ensuring that you have an understanding of how you can be able to use some of these emerging tools for just different use cases. And I hope you found this resource or this course valuable. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you'd want to be informed when we post such future learning experiences, compact ones, be sure to subscribe. All the best in your learning journey.